Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News Brief. I had a couple of things I wanted to cover tonight. First of all is this story about these MAGA hat-wearing teens, these apparently racial and disrespectful MAGA hat-wearing teens. These poor kids were on a field trip, and they were standing with a group of their fellow students. And this Native American gentleman who was doing a drum protest walked into the center of their group and began to beat his drum in their faces. And everyone across the board in the mainstream media is talking about how they were racial and they were taunting this man and they surrounded him. But it's a complete and utter lie. It is a total fabrication. Now, if you search racist teens on Twitter, then it comes up with all kinds of disinformation about them, stories. A descendant of immigrants who supports a man many claim isn't racist harassed a Native American veteran over a wall that, had it been built in 1621, would have meant the death of starving pilgrims. That's neither here nor there. Dr. Deshani Stokes. Tommy Campbell. These kids are the greatest threat to the future of America. Can someone please make MAGA hats that sterilized moronic racist men? Idiot. Tommy Campbell says. Jonathan Van Ness says, white Americans, that's this right here. Racism is thriving. Equality is a process of good and evil. And it means if the fight never ends, these racist white nationalists will not hold our future. We must watch this, learn from it, and teach these kids better. Teach them what? Teach them to spread, to get out of the way if somebody walks into the middle of their crowd and starts playing the drums. Nothing happened. This is all fake news. Fake news. Let's go ahead and watch and see. Here they are clapping along with his drumming. Oh, these kids are horrible. I can't believe it. Looks to me like they're supporting him. They're not even saying build the wall. This guy's walking through them, pounding his drum. They're not surrounding him. They are being surrounded. This guy's offbeat. He just said, I'm so confused. I heard that. This guy is in this kid's face, pounding his drum, singing, chanting. And this kid is being very respectful. He doesn't even know what to do. This 60-year-old guy, maybe older, he's getting up in his face. He just hit that kid in the face with his drumstick. He's certainly invading that kid's personal space. They're confused. They have no idea why this grown man is coming up to them and playing a drum in their face. There's nothing racist here. There's maybe some provocative things happening on behalf of this Native American gentleman. But it sent Twitter into a firestorm. Now, apologies to the Covington Catholic students flood Twitter after the video shows that the teens were framed. I got duped by fake news, someone said. Social media erupted Saturday after selectively edited videos of Covington Catholic students were posted to Twitter, accusing them of harassing and mocking an elderly Native American man. The left, along with their mouthpieces in the media, immediately called for these teens to be tarred and feathered. No judge, no jury. Here are the cold, hard facts about what really happened at the Lincoln Memorial this weekend. According to one of the high school boys who was present, a group of black men were taunting the Trump supporters, calling them shooters and crackers, and said the white kids had everything given to them by their parents. At first, the Trump-supporting teens ignored the black men who were harassing them, but after the blacks continued to taunt the white kids began to chant back at them. According to a witness, it was at this point that a Native American man showed up out of nowhere and began drumming in the high school kid's face. We weren't even chanting at him, we were chanting at the African American guy, but obviously social media made us look bad to get views and stuff, a witness said. The Gateway Pundit's Kristen Taylor reported that the students begged local news stations to report the truth. A video posted to Facebook shows the beginning of the incident. The students are off by themselves doing school cheers when Phillips and his fellow Native American activists walk over to them, beating drums and chanting, and enter the students' space. Another clip shows a Native American man telling one of the students, "White people, go back to Europe. This is not your land." These Covington Catholic students showed incredible restraint after being ambushed and taunted. No crimes were committed and no one became violent, yet the media is piling on the children and calling for them to be severely punished over lies. Upon further review of the entire video, many people are now apologizing to the Covington Catholic teens, admitting they were duped by selectively edited and fake news. Charlie Kirk says, "I just watched the unedited video of the high school kids at the march. They did nothing wrong, and I correct an earlier tweet. The left intentionally misreported the facts, typical, to destroy these kids' lives, to blame it on Trump. Media made this a top story to wreck their lives." CJ Pearson says, "The mainstream media is losing their minds over a few kids standing in front of a Native American as he played his drum. But when have they ever expressed outrage over Trump supporters being verbally accosted and physically attacked for wearing MAGA hats? Oh, never." After the emergence of additional footage and conversations with the students involved in the incident, I felt compelled to speak on this and correct the record. Even I, at first, was duped into believing the left's narrative on this and assigned blame to the students. Matt Walsh says, "Everyone who took part in the public smearing of those high school kids must now publicly retract and apologize. Pay attention to those who do not take ownership of their mistake. Reminder to never take anything they say seriously ever again. I apologize to the Covington Catholic boys. What Rod Dreher says of himself goes double for me. I jumped the gun, and that was stupid and unjust. It is I, not the boys, who need to take a lesson from this. The Catholic bonfire at the stake." David Brooks says, "Yesterday I had one impression of the MAGA kids from Kentucky. Now after seeing more videos, I have a different, more complicated impression. Makes all the hot takes seem silly." Matthew Schmidt says, "All of those who have bothered to watch the Fuller video, and especially those who initially rushed to judgment on the basis of partial evidence, should stand against this slander." Given that people are calling for the firing of a priest and the expulsion of students, I hope that the celebrity priests and media Catholics who expressed judgments on the basis of less evidence will speak out again if more evidence suggests that these things were not so clear-cut. And here is a video showing that Nathan Phillips was approached the students on the basis of evidence we now have. I believe that people who issued categorical and one-sided condemnations of the students should retract and apologize. Let's watch this.
See how much they respect you, Israel? Look all of them. All these Americans. Go ahead, what you say? That's right. Here come Gad. Here come Gad. Here come Gad. Look at our Make America Great Again hats. Look at the hats. Look at the hats. We ain't taking. Look, we not taking. Look at Gad. That's right, Gad. Look at Gad.
Clearly, these students were being taunted. They are the victims in this situation. I fell for the first edited video too. It's fake news and these kids are owed a big apology, says Megan Fox. Mike Cernovich says the high school boys were framed and the new video proves it. Even more egregious, Twitter is allowing verified blue checkmark accounts to call for the targeted harassment of minor children. Good job, Twitter. Good job, blue checkmarks. Failed actor and comedian Ben Hoffman, who goes by the stage name Wheeler Walker, called for violent sexual crimes to be committed against the minor teens and even offered a reward to whoever can stalk and find the minor child and punch him in the nuts. Wow. Wow. I am so incredibly disgusted. These people will stop at nothing to smear, to maim, to destroy and defame. This is why I'm anonymous, you guys. This is why I don't want my name out there. I don't want these people to know who I am because I don't want them to be able to come after me for doing nothing. Sick over this. Now, in even more news on the same subject, here's a flashback. Before smearing and harassing these Catholic children, Native American Nathan Phillips accused frat boys of harassment in a similar event. BuzzFeed and the hateful left-wing media is at it again. These MAGA teens were doxxed and are now in fear for their lives. On Friday, a group of high school boys from Kentucky went to the Lincoln Memorial after attending the March for Life. While standing at the memorial, a Native American activist, Nathan Phillips, approached the boys and started harassing them. Phillips, reportedly a Vietnam veteran, got up in one boy's face and started screaming and beating his drum inches from the boy's face. According to one of the high school boys who was present, a group of black men were taunting the Trump supporters, calling them shooters and crackers, and said that the kids had had everything given to them by their parents. According to a witness, it was at this point that a Native American man showed up out of nowhere and began drumming in the high school kid's face. We weren't even chanting at him. We said that last time. Okay, so now here is a video of these guys getting harassed by these other people. All right, so that video didn't work. Somebody had deleted it. Obviously, they didn't want the proof out there. Now, here, if you remember, during the Kavanaugh hearings, these kids were dancing, and they actually assaulted this old man who was holding up signs in support of Brett Kavanaugh. Where was the condemnation from the left then? That's assault. That is assault right there. Where was the left? Where was their righteous indignation? This video shows the children were not chanting "Build the Wall," as Nathan reported. The media isn't interested in facts. They want to push their left-wing agenda, so they doxed the high school kids. The high school boy was doxed by the liberal fascist mob. The children have received death threats by violent leftists following this incident. On Saturday, one of the Catholic boys wrote the local radio station in Kentucky and begged the station to report the truth and not join the far-left media lynch mob. Now this, Native American activist Nathan Phillips was involved in a similar incident in 2015 where he targeted a group of mostly white frat boys. Phillips then ran to reporters and claimed he was abused after he confronted the college kids. The racist incident made the news. There he is right there. Native American says he was attacked by EMU students. EMU. I wonder if that's Eastern Michigan University. I think it might be. Phillips ran to the police after he confronted the university students holding a party. He made the news. Yup, he's from Michigan. An Ypsilanti man says he was trying to teach a few students dressed in American Indian theme party about respecting Native Americans. Not long afterwards, Nathan Phillips said that an interaction with partygoers and students turned ugly. Nathan Phillips says he was out for a noon walk on a Saturday in mid-April. He walked by a home where he saw Eastern Michigan University students dressed as Native Americans. They had little feathers on. I was just going to walk by, Phillips said. A group of them said, "Come on over, come here." He says he walked over to the fence and saw roughly 30 to 40 students involved in a theme party. They had their faces painted, Phillips said. I said, "What the heck is going on here?" "Oh, we are honoring you." I said, "No, you are not honoring me." It was the statement he says they took offense to. They started whooping and hollering, he said. I said, "That isn't honoring. That was racist." Then, at that time, it got really ugly. Phillips says he was bombarded with racial slurs. They said, "Go back to the reservation, you blank Indian," he said. One student, he says, threw a beer can at him. "If I would have stayed there where I was, it would have hit me in the head," he said. "I backed up and it hit me in the chest." He had seen enough at that point and says he called police. By the time police got there, it was like there was no party there at all, he said. Phillips filed a report with campus police, who tell Fox 2 they are investigating the matter. I bet you that didn't happen either. So obviously Nathan Phillips has a history of trying to blame people for things when he doesn't agree with whatever it is they're doing. So sorry they're having a theme party, but this guy, who knows? It sounds like they didn't even have a theme party. He says the cops showed up, nobody was there. Either way, he lied about the interaction that he had with these boys. I'm thinking he probably lied about the interaction that he had with these kids, even if there was at this EMU party. So Nathan Phillips, next time you see Nathan Phillips in the news, just remember that he is a proven liar. Next, I have a tweet from Donald Trump that I wanted to show you from earlier today. He says, Nancy, I am still thinking about the State of the Union speech. There are so many options, including doing it as per your written offer made during the shutdown. Security is no problem, and my written acceptance. While a contract is a contract, I'll get back to you soon. So what does he mean here? What does he mean here? So somebody here on the board says, nice work. Finally, and Anon gets this. Reposting a portion of my analysis that leads to this conclusion. Full post if requested. Presidential Succession Act. So I think this has to do with that whole tweet from Donna Brazile about Nancy becoming president. Remember, the 25th Amendment did not change Congress's constitutional authority to designate successors other than the VP. So after the VP, Congress may declare what officer shall then act as president. Law under this clause has been around since 1792 in more or less the same form. A significant amendment was passed in 1947 and has remained more or less intact since. Under this law, as most Anons already know, after the VP, the primary succession is House Speaker, President of the Senate, then Secretary of the State. This seems perfectly natural, but it really is not. Consider the current situation. If POTUS and Pence are gone, then it is right that Nancy Pelosi be made president. The same problem would occur if the president of the Senate of the opposing party became president. This points out a major flaw in the law Congress passed. The legal question is, are House and Senate officers as contemplated by the Constitution? Most legal scholars say they are not, pointing out that the term officer refers to an officer of the United States, a legal term that excludes members of Congress. Instead, officers of the USA are high-level executives appointed by POTUS with the advice and consent of the Senate. In other words, cabinet heads. Just as compelling is the incompatibility clause of the Constitution, which bars officials in federal government's executive branch from simultaneously serving in either the U.S. House or the U.S. Senate. So this is the original post. He's right about the contract. If she made the offer and he accepted in writing, doesn't have to be in writing, but writing is always more provable, then he can sue for specific performance. A judge would basically say Pelosi has to follow through with her offer and allow the speech to go on unless she can cite some kind of force majeure to get her out of it. But I don't see that happening. I don't know if the fact that the plaintiff is the POTUS makes a difference, but I don't think it really does. Donnie knows contracts, and she signed one when she made the offer, thankfully in writing. Trump tweets say he responded in writing, which means there is a contract in place, and it doesn't matter whether Nancy knew it was a contract or not. Trump can sue her, as he alluded. The specific performance is when you get a judge to say that some specific event should take place as per the contract that was violated. Like if a singer sues a stadium because the stadium canceled the show for no good reason. He might sue the stadium for specific performance, and the stadium would have to let the show go on like they originally promised. A major law F could probably explain the nuances about how it might look different if the POTUS is the plaintiff, but it might not be different at all. I don't know. Nancy Pelosi has to let Donald Trump do the State of the Union because she signed a contract. Right here, this is a notable atom bomb from the White House visitors logs. Merrick Garland and other potential Supreme Court nominees met at the White House the week before Antonin Scalia was 187. Note, the Obama White House reserved the right to scrub White House visitor log if it included interviewees for a Supreme Court seat. Doesn't want the evidence to show they interviewed 12 Supreme Court nominees 1 week before Scalia's murder. FISA-related visits were also scrubbed. See the screenshot from the White House file, which includes all logs released in 2016. Row numbers remain inconsistent with the original file. A group of 12 people made a White House appointment on 5th of February 2016 for a meeting that occurred on 12th of February 2016. All are high-ranking members in our judiciary. Law Fs can confirm, but I believe the majority can be considered as nominees for Associate Justice of Supreme Court, namely Merrick Garland. Justice Antonin Scalia passed away on the 13th of February. That's very interesting that he just happened to show up right before Scalia was summarily executed in his bed with a pillow over his face. Here's another coincidence. This is from the board as well. Q has used a few film signatories based on Tom Clancy novels with the main character name of Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan was also the name of the rep nominee running against Hussein in Illinois Senate race until his campaign crumbled 4 days after the Chicago Tribune unseals his divorce records, culminating in the infamous sexless sex scandal, Ryan being forced to pull out, Republican Party clamoring for replacement that could be compared to The Gong Show, Keyes finally replacing Ryan, and Obama winning with 70%. Ryan also had extensive op-ed research done, collected his entire voting record, and has his assistant follow him around, recording everything before this cluster that led to Hussein's reign. Sauce everywhere. Here's a few pages. So that's right. Jack Ryan. I wonder if there are drops in the posts in regard to this specific bit of information. We'll have to go take a look at that, but at a later date. Finally, the families of MLK, JFK, RFK, and Malcolm X, celebs and families of them, they were all assassinated, we know. 60 prominent citizens are marking MLK Jr. Day by calling for new investigations into the assassinations of 4 men that changed the world: JFK, RFK, MLK, and Malcolm X. The group, the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, believes in all 4 assassinations were the result of the C word that were covered up by the government. Members of TRC include Oliver Stone, Alec Baldwin, Martin Sheen, Rob Reiner, David Crosby. God, why do they have to be such horrible people? All right, well, as it turns out, it's not much of a story. It's just a reprinting of some images and a little note about each assassination. But get a good look, because this is what our government has turned into, okay? And this is what we're fighting against. We have been ruled by an intelligence class and a global banking class for far too long. And it's these types of people that have worked so hard to turn our constitutional republic into a de facto socialist state. So I want to thank everybody who has watched today. Sorry, the subject matter was a little heavier than it normally is, but I think this was important news. So keep an eye out on Pelosi. Keep an eye out tomorrow for the safety of our president. Thank you, everyone, again, for joining me. I am Red Pill 78, the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News.